They say the soul of a patio isn't in the furniture. It's in the light that falls gently when the world goes quiet. Just after sundown, when the sky turns to ash and the hum of the day begins to slow, there's a kind of magic that settles between the bricks and wood. It doesn't come from expensive decor or designer lamps. No, sometimes it glows from the things we nearly threw away. What if those old tires stacked in your shed could become the warmest part of your home? Tonight, we'll show you how tired rubber can be reborn. Not with noise or flair, but with a quiet light that lingers. There's a certain kind of magic that happens when creativity meets stillness, when discarded things are given a second chance beneath the sun. In the soft embrace of a small patio, just where the wooden bench meets the line of old bricks, an unlikely bloom has taken root. It's not the flowers alone that catch your eye, it's what holds them. A tire, once retired from the road, now reborn as a cradle of life. Its surface, once caked in dust and miles, now painted a gentle matte black, curves upward like the edges of a smile. From its hollow center, begonia and geraniums spill freely, pink, white, and lush, like gratitude pouring from something long forgotten. The air is light with fragrance, the kind that feels like a reward for pausing. Not far away, tucked into a quiet corner where gravel crunches gently underfoot, another tire rests. This one hums a different tune, bright white with soft pastel dots, a playful whisper of personality. Here, marigolds stand tall like watchful sentinels, while violet petunias curl around their feet. It's a humble arrangement, yes, but also a defiant one. It tells the world, beauty doesn't need permission or a budget. And then, standing bold against a wooden fence, two stacked tires burst with joy. Teal and yellow, the colors of summer laughter, hold a medley of lavender, daisies, and pink snapdragons, each competing gently for sunlight. The lavender waves in the breeze, while the daisies tilt their heads upward, soaking in every golden thread of afternoon light. This is no mere decoration. It is a quiet revolution, a celebration of color and life rising from what was once considered waste. You don't need a sprawling garden to create a sanctuary. All you need is a bit of patience, a tired old tire, and a willingness to see with new eyes. Let your space speak your values. Let your hands shape something lasting. The process is simple, even comforting. Clean the tire well. Choose whether to leave it raw or grace it with paint. Bright hues, muted pastels, or classic matte black. Fill its base with gravel for drainage, then rich, moist soil. Choose your plants with intention. For sun-drenched patios, marigolds, petunias, and lavender are hardy companions. For shadier nooks, begonias and geraniums offer gentle color without complaint. Each tire becomes its own world, a frame for nature's expression. And because they sit low and wide, they're perfect for small spaces. Tiny patios, narrow backyards, corners where nothing else fits. And perhaps that's the point, that even in overlooked places, beauty can thrive. That even the discarded can rise again, blooming brighter than ever. There's something deeply human about planting flowers in a tire. It's a way of telling time you're still here, still caring, still willing to make something grow, no matter the past life of the vessel. So step outside, look around. What waits in your garage or alley might just be your garden's greatest treasure. Let your flowers bloom from rubber and hope. Let your trash turn tender. Let old tires dream in color. Sometimes, beauty doesn't begin with a flower, it begins with a scent. There's a quiet fence at the edge of a backyard, where the breeze carries the sharp freshness of mint and the gentle whisper of lemon balm. But it's not the herbs that surprise you, it's where they grow. Hanging from the fence like forgotten halos, old tires have found a second life. They no longer spin along asphalt, but instead cradle green, living things. Their tired rubber now painted in cheerful sky blue or left raw and matte black, earthy, grounded, unpretentious. One tire hangs gently from a white picket fence, holding mint and parsley like a bouquet given by the wind. The herbs reach outward as if eager to be picked for tonight's dinner. Another, painted bright blue and bolted to a wooden slat, spills with oregano, lemon balm, and a tangle of thyme just starting to flower. They grow not in rows, but in rings, and it works, charming and functional all at once. The brilliance of this idea isn't only in its form, but in its fit. Small yards often demand creativity, and fences are too often overlooked. These tires bring life to the vertical, making use of empty air, not crowded soil. Their roundness softens the hard lines of wood and wall, while the herbs within soften the air itself. And it's simple. That's the gift. No need for raised beds or heavy tools. Clean an old tire. Add drainage holes if needed. Line the inside with breathable landscape fabric, or leave it open if the tire is hung flat. Fill with well-draining soil. Then plant. Basil for brightness. Rosemary for scent. Mint for tea. Lemon balm for calm. Let them spill out, unpruned, a bit wild, because wild things thrive when you let them. When rain falls, the tires glisten. When sun returns, the herbs stretch. And in between, they offer something many forget to ask from a garden. Use. These aren't flowers for looking. They're for snipping, tasting, sharing. You don't need space for a garden. You only need a wall, a little soil, and something once forgotten. Let old tires hang with pride, not shame. Let your fence hold life, not just divide it. And when evening comes, and you crush a sprig of mint between your fingers, you'll understand. This isn't just recycling. It's remembering how to grow beauty in the smallest places. There's a certain kind of joy that doesn't shout. It climbs, quietly, leaf by leaf, until one day, it ripens into something red and ready. In the hush between fences, where space is tight but hope stretches tall, strawberries dangle like treasures from towers made not of stone, but of old, forgotten rubber. In a narrow garden corridor, sunlight spills onto a stack of pastel-painted tires. Mint green above, soft yellow in the center, and coral at the base. From each tier, strawberry plants burst out like fountains, vines trailing, fruit glowing against the rubber's soft sheen. They lean gently over the sides, as if trying to greet you. Elsewhere, in a quiet garden bed lined with gravel, 3 dark brown tires rise like rings of rich earth. Their tone blends into the soil, allowing the red strawberries to glow even brighter, like jewels from a natural crown. It's not a perfect structure. That's the charm. It breathes. It leans a little with life. And then there's the playful tower. White tires painted with cartoon strawberry prints, standing proud on a patio corner. It looks like something from a dream, where children laugh and seasons stretch long. The fruit here is fat and abundant, spilling over the curves of hand-cut tire edges like a promise kept. This is what becomes possible when you stop waiting for more space, more tools, more time. These stacked towers are humble solutions born from care. A single tire is sturdy and deep enough to anchor roots. 2 or 3, layered with patience and drainage, become the perfect vertical bed. Ideal for balconies, patios, or gravel paths where the soil below is reluctant. And strawberries, well, they love it. They don't mind growing sideways. They prefer their crowns elevated, their roots well-drained. Fill each layer with nutrient-rich soil. Let the runners trail or tuck them into side slits for even more yield. Water from the top, let gravity do its part. There's something quietly powerful about feeding yourself from something once discarded. And even more so when the result is sweet. This isn't just a tower of fruit. It's a tower of moments. Quiet mornings with your fingers brushing dew-off berries. Warm afternoons with the sun baking the scent of ripe fruit into the air. If you listen closely, the garden will teach you. You don't need to look far for beauty. You just need to look again. There are places in a garden where color lingers long after the blooms fade. Places where the soil meets shape, and the edge of life is marked not by stone, but by stories. sometimes, those stories come with treads and grooves, dipped in paint and memory. In the warmth of a backyard morning, tires once worn down by the road now rise from the earth, standing in a proud arc around fresh, tilled soil. Each one is painted red or white, forming a rhythm of contrast and calm. Inside the frame, marigolds bloom in rich orange bursts, planted not just for beauty, but as guardians of the vegetables growing beyond. There's purpose in their petals and protection in their presence. Elsewhere, on a suburban corner where concrete meets green, a border curves softly in the shape of pastel dreams. Have tires painted in lavender, sky blue, butter yellow, and soft rose arch over a bed of zinnias and cosmos, flowers that seem to sway even when the air is still. The color sings without a word. It says, "Here lives something made with joy," and then a more playful touch. A circle of full tires surrounds a flower bed like arms around a story. Red, green, yellow, blue. They hug the soil while tulips, daisies, and pansies stretch toward the sun. Mulch rests like a blanket across the dirt, holding the moisture close, while each flower lifts its head with the quiet confidence of something loved. This is how a tire can be more than rubber, can be a frame for life, can draw a line not to divide but to celebrate. And the best part? You can do this too. Clean the tire, cut it in half for borders, or leave it whole for curved accents. Paint it with bold tones or soft pastels, using weather-resistant colors to let the palette last through seasons. Press it gently into moist soil, space it evenly, let the garden grow behind it. Add marigolds for pest control, zinnias for color, cosmos for grace, or plant vegetables. Your border will still sing, because this isn't just about tires. It's about seeing possibility where others see waste. It's about marking the edge of your space with something that matters, something handmade. And maybe, when your day feels heavy, you'll walk along that border and feel it again. The quiet pride of color, the humble strength of reuse, and the soft truth that beauty often begins at the edge. There is something deeply grounding about a garden path. It doesn't rush. It doesn't compete. It simply invites you to walk, slowly, thoughtfully, as if the act of placing one foot in front of the other is itself a kind of care. In the cool hush of early morning, a narrow pathway winds between beds of leafy greens. Along both sides, have tires stand tall, arched like gentle waves, painted in tones of soft tan, faded green, and burnt clay. Their presence is subtle, but not silent. They hold the soil in place. They hold the garden together. And in their stillness, they say, something meaningful was made here. Just a few steps away, another path curves with cheerful playfulness. The tires here are moss green and stone gray, sliced into half moons and placed like puzzle pieces along an S-shaped trail of stepping stones. Young ferns emerge between the borders, their fronds catching light like little flags of life. There's no grand entrance or ornate gate, just rhythm, balance, and a touch of imagination. And then there is color. Black tires kissed with mustard yellow line a straight gravel path, nestled between rows of calendula, alyssum, and snapdragons. The contrast is bold but beautiful soft flowers, bold frames. Each tire rests upright, a perfect mirror to the one across. Together, they form a hallway of growth, a corridor of light and scent. What makes these edges remarkable is not perfection, but intention. Old tires, destined for the landfill, now form lines of quiet purpose. They are repainted, reshaped, and reclaimed not just for aesthetics, but for function. They keep gravel from wandering. They protect flower roots from treading feet. And they teach us that even trash can trace the path to something lovely. If you're looking to recreate this quiet magic, start small. Have your tires with care using a jigsaw or strong blade. Paint in muted shades to blend or bright colors to contrast. Press them firmly into moist earth, upright for emphasis, sideways for softness. Let them guide a path of pavers or gravel. Let them hold something valuable in place. And as you walk that path, again and again, let the garden slow your steps. Let your breath match the rhythm of the border, and let each tire remind you, gently, that even old things can lead us somewhere new. Some corners of the backyard don't ask to be grand. They just want to hold your coffee, or your breath after a long day, maybe even a moment of laughter with someone you love. That's what these quiet tire creations offer. Not perfection, but presence. In one small wooden deck, the sunlight spills softly over a pair of round chairs, made entirely from recycled tires painted navy blue, their curves softened by padded white cushions. They stand beside a matching low table, its surface a smooth round of glass, reflecting the sky above. Around them, small potted evergreens stand like silent witnesses, and the whole space feels like it was made not just by hand, but with heart. Elsewhere, a semicircle of cheerful stools, yellow, coral, turquoise, rest on green grass beneath lavender's watchful bloom. Each seat is formed from 2 stacked tires, cleaned and brightly painted, with weatherproof cushions perched gently on top. There are no sharp edges, no pretension, just joy arranged in a circle, a place for a garden gathering, or a story shared with soil still clinging to your hands. Then there's the corner that leans rustic. Under a wooden pergola, vines stretch and sway, framing a bench made from 2 upright tires and a warm wooden plank. A mosaic-topped table stands beside it, its base nothing more than a single old tire, repurposed into something proudly whole. Shade dapples the floor, hanging pots move slightly in the breeze. It's not a showroom, thank goodness. It's real, it's used, it's loved. The beauty of tire furniture isn't just in what you see, it's in what you save. Old rubber, rescued from waste. Space, reclaimed. Time well spent. The circular shape cradles you without fuss. The weight gives strength. And best of all, it invites anyone to try. Want to build your own? Stack 2 or 3 tires. Paint them with a brush and patience. Add a cushion or reclaimed wood. Use a glass top from an old table or a mosaic of broken tiles. Secure what needs to be sturdy. Let the rest stay imperfect. In tiny patios where furniture feels too large or too new, this becomes the perfect in-between. Not quite store-bought, not quite rustic, just something yours. A chair that once rolled down highways now holds still for morning tea. A table once worn and tired now listens to afternoon sun. And a garden, your garden, becomes not just a place to grow things, but a place to sit and be. Not every garden begins in the soil. Some grow from walls. Some bloom from places where nothing once did. Spaces too narrow, too shaded, too forgotten. But here, on a quiet stretch of fence, color spills down like laughter. 3 old tires, painted in bold, joyful shades of red, blue, and yellow, hang proudly against the faded planks of a wooden wall. Their round frames cradle ivy, nasturtiums, and petunias that tumble freely over the edges, as though the plants themselves can't help but reach out and dance. There's no symmetry here, just freedom, and sunlight, and care. A few feet away, a single white tire rests gently on a vertical board, filled with violet pansies, trailing lobelia, and tiny white stars of bloom. The background is simple, just warm-toned wood and quiet stillness. But the flowers make it sing. It's not loud, it's not fancy, it's perfect. And tucked in a shaded patio corner, 2 tires have been stacked into a miniature living wall. They're painted in soft metallic gray, like brushed tin under golden light. Inside them grow succulents, fleshy, textured, quietly thriving. Below, vines curl and dip toward the ground like delicate threads stitched through air. These are not your typical planters, and that's the point. In tight backyards, vertical space is a gift often ignored. These tires reclaim it. They ask nothing but a wall and a few screws. They take up no soil, no floor. but what they give in return is presence, personality, a reason to pause. You can try it too. Cut the top half of a tire for an open bowl. Paint it any shade, earthy, playful, or clean white. Line the bottom with breathable mesh or drainage holes. Add soil, then fill with trailing plants, herbs, or hardy blooms. Mount it on a wooden fence, a brick wall, even a freestanding panel. Let them spill. Let them grow unruly. Let them soften the lines of the wall and soften your own thoughts with them. Because sometimes, beauty doesn't come from grand designs. It comes from the ordinary, hung up with intention, filled with life, and left to shine quietly in the sun. So the next time you look at your fence and see only wood, imagine color instead. Imagine vines spilling from circles of rubber. Imagine what might bloom when you think not horizontally, but up. Not all beauty is meant to bloom. Some of it is meant to sit quietly in a corner, whispering calm to the world around it. In one such corner, a tire rests low on wooden planks, filled not with flowers or soil, but with white sand raked into soft spirals. A single bonsai tree rises from the center, its roots cradled in tiny pebbles. 3 stones, smooth and silent, punctuate the space like words in a sacred chant. The air here moves slower. Even the shadows seem to pause. Just around the bend, tucked near a bamboo fence, another circle of peace has been formed. A black tire holds a soft bed of fine sand and moss. From its heart, a single bamboo shoot reaches upward. Gentle, honest, uncomplicated. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is, and that's enough. And then there's the softest of all. A muted beige tire placed on pale patio tile. Inside, clean white gravel sets the stage for a trio of polished black pebbles. A small Buddha sits in meditation, unmoving, surrounded by space. It's not a display, it's a moment made visible. These aren't just Zen gardens. They're acts of gentle rebellion against clutter and chaos. They ask nothing of you but to sit, to breathe, to feel the way light falls onto stone. And in small patios where space is often a luxury, these tire-based sanctuaries are a quiet miracle. To make one is to slow down. Paint the tire with a color that brings you peace. Fill its base with gravel, sand, or crushed stone. Choose elements with care. A small sculpture, a single plant, a few rocks that feel right in your hand. Arrange them not for perfection, but for presence. Rake if you wish. Leave blank if you prefer. Let the space speak, because beauty isn't always loud, and peace doesn't come from having more. Sometimes it's built from what you already have, painted soft gray, pressed into sand, and given a place to rest. In one quiet backyard corner, the world becomes small enough to hold in a tire, and big enough to hold a child's imagination. There, under a soft canopy of morning light, a sandbox made from rainbow-painted tires invites tiny hands and plastic toys to shape stories in the sand. A red bucket leans against a blue wall of rubber. A yellow scoop rests like a forgotten tool of adventure. Around the tire, sand spills over like laughter. The shade cloth above flutters gently, casting moving shadows onto a circle where imagination is always welcome. Not far from there, another patch of joy rises from 2 stacked tires painted bright blue, each decorated with cheerful yellow stars. They cradle a mound of warm play sand, carefully contained but never confined. A small wooden stool sits beside it, waiting patiently. On the pavers, chalk drawings bloom. Circles, spirals, and swirls. Echoes of the stories children tell without saying a word. And in a patch of grass, a single yellow tire dotted with color holds just enough space for a truck, a scoop, a bucket, and a morning full of digging, building, destroying, and beginning again. It doesn't need to be big. It only needs to be theirs. These tire sandboxes are more than play. They are shelter, memory, and motion. They how a single object, once forgotten, can hold space for wonder. And they are easy to make. Find an old tire, tractor, truck, or car. Clean it well. Paint it bright, with dots or stars or whatever makes your little one smile. Fill it with soft, clean sand. If you want to raise it higher, stack 2 or 3 tires. Add a bench or stool nearby. A cloth canopy overhead is all you need to soften the sun. Don't worry about neatness. The joy is in the mess, because someday those chalk drawings will fade. The toys will be left behind, but the memory of where they played, the circle that held their imagination, that will stay. And in the quiet, after playtime has ended, you might find yourself sitting beside the tire too, running your fingers through the sand, remembering how easy it is to build a world with just a little space, and something someone once called trash. In a tucked-away corner where sun meets stucco, 2 tires cradle life in quiet defiance of waste. Their once rugged paths now hold delicate bursts of green. The top tire, black as evening soil, spills chives skyward, purple-tipped like morning bells, surrounded by gentle oregano and trailing herbs. Below, cherry tomatoes gather like jewels on a necklace, cascading down with the weight of sunlight stored in their skin. Elsewhere, a row of forest green tires lines up like sentinels, each cupping leafy hope. Basil as lush as summer dreams, spinach curling in shy abundance, nasturtiums trailing in bright laughter. They rise from a timbered frame, wooden bones repurposed to uphold this tiered Eden. It's a wall not of division but of quiet productivity. The morning light dapples every leaf and petal, turning a narrow fence line into a feast for the senses. At the back fence, painted in warm terracotta tones, 3 old tires hang like living portraits. Kale unfurls from the top ring like an old scroll, while arugula peeks shyly from below. The sunlight falls through high tree branches and lands in golden patches on the leaves. A raised bed of romaine beneath them completes the vertical story, one that climbs not just with color but with intention. The practicality of these vertical gardens goes far beyond beauty. They free up precious ground space, making even a sliver of backyard capable of feeding a household. Tires provide excellent insulation for roots, retain moisture well, and when painted, resist heat from the sun. To keep drainage healthy, poke small holes in the base and layer in pebbles beneath the soil. And for those still hesitant to begin, start with 1 tire. Frame it simply with recycled wood. Add herbs. Watch them climb. There's something profoundly grounding about growing upward, about turning the forgotten into the fruitful. In every leaf, in every blossom that spills from these circles of rubber, there's proof that beauty doesn't demand perfection. Only care, patience, and a willingness to reimagine the ordinary. Let your walls breathe with greenery. Let your corners bloom with usefulness. And if you begin, even with 1 old tire, you've already planted more than seeds. You've planted change. There's something grounding about growing your own food, about the simple beauty of coaxing life from soil, even within the unlikeliest of vessels. In this case, old tires, once rolling across roads, are reborn as peaceful pockets of nourishment. They now rest in quiet corners of gravel-lined gardens, painted in soft tones of ivory, terracotta, and forest green. They don't boast, they don't shout. They simply hold space for growth. The first arrangement feels like a conversation between 3 good friends. A circle of purpose. Each tire offers a different gift. Cabbage heads rise in rosettes, crisp and proud. Tiny red tomatoes cling to their vines, kissed gently by morning sun. Nearby, a bed of carrots grows in silent discipline, their orange tips just peeking beneath the feathers of green. Each tire is slightly different in color, but together, they sing in harmony, a symphony of nutrients and intention. Elsewhere in the garden, an old tire stack stands proudly like a living sculpture. 2 tiers tall, painted deep green, it hosts layers of calendula and lavender, a perfume of orange and purple rising with the heat of the day. Lower down, bush beans tumble and climb, their glossy leaves reaching around the sides. just a planter. It's a vertical dance of form and function. And at its base, a small watering can rests against mulch, reminding us that tending beauty is a slow, steady ritual. And then, in the corner where two fences meet, a terracotta tire overflows with joy. Sunflowers stand as tall sentinels, their faces turned boldly to the light. Beneath them, zinnias bloom in shades of coral and rose, weaving between small cherry pepper plants whose fruit glows like little lanterns among the leaves. It is a bed of contrasts, spicy and soft, tall and trailing, colorfully chaotic and yet thoughtfully arranged. What these spaces whisper is this: you don't need a sprawling garden or fancy materials to cultivate something real. An old tire, a handful of seeds, and the willingness to care are enough. Add in good soil and regular watering, and soon your space, however small, will transform into a place of generosity. Raised beds like these invite vegetables and flowers to share the same soil, reminding us how beauty and sustenance can exist side by side, without competition. If you're dreaming of a garden but think you don't have the space or the means, look again. There's likely a tire lying forgotten nearby, waiting to cradle your first cherry tomato or sunflower stem. Sometimes, the most unexpected things become the most cherished when given new purpose. In a quiet courtyard, just as the sun slips beyond the rooftops and dusk begins to settle, light awakens in the most unexpected forms. Here, old tires, those once worn and discarded, have found a second breath, glowing softly with amber light like lanterns from a dream. Suspended from above, their bold silhouettes are no longer heavy with road dust. Painted in cheerful hues of ocean blue and deep maroon, the tires have been sliced into pendant shades. Lined with reflective copper foil, they turn humble light bulbs into miniature hearths, warming the patio with a cozy, inviting radiance. Beneath them, wooden chairs rest in quiet conversation around a small table. The air is still, yet alive with ambience, a handmade glow that encourages slow sips, easy laughter, and barefoot evenings. Just a few steps away, a silver tire rim sits quietly on the deck like a forgotten crown. Inside, fairy lights tumble in a soft bundle of light, their glow flickering like fireflies in a jar. It's a simple detail, one that costs almost nothing, but in the right hands, even wire and scrap can feel like magic. Along the brick wall, 3 black tire rings are mounted like round windows into another world. Each cradles a beam of warm LED light, spilling down the textured surface in soft golden halos. The effect is minimal but deeply calming. Shadows stretch and blend, drawing your eye in and holding it gently. Around the base, potted herbs and succulents lean into the moment, their green leaves glowing like pages in a bedtime story. What makes this lighting so special is not the materials, but the feeling. There's a soulfulness here, a belief that beauty isn't bought but built, from what we already have, from what we've lived through and worn down. If you're thinking of trying something similar, start by embracing what's already in your space. A worn tire, an unused rim, or even a string of battery-powered lights can become more than the sum of their parts when paired with intention and a touch of imagination. Paint adds personality, copper or foil adds glow, and warm-toned bulbs bring the rest to life. Whether you mount them on a wall or let them hang above a table, each piece becomes its own quiet celebration of reuse. So let your patio glow, not just with light, but with the stories you've chosen to keep. Maybe your hands shape something simple, but your heart will notice what it means. In the golden hush of evening, even old tires can shine. In the end, it's never really about the tires or the copper lining or the fairy lights we tuck inside. It's about the way these small acts, these hands-on redemptions of waste, create a softness we can live in. When the glow reaches your table and your cup rests beside it, you'll know light is more than brightness. It's care. It's imagination. And sometimes it begins with a tire. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen, but I hope these small lights find a way to warm your evenings, too.